In this episode of Exploring the Creative Process, I'm going to talk about creating silhouettes.
Adorama TV presents Getting the Shot with Corey Rich.
Hi, I'm Corey Rich and you're watching Adorama TV. In this episode of Exploring the Creative Process, I'm going to talk about the techniques behind creating silhouettes in photographs. I really believe in the philosophy that you want to fill your days with making pictures. You want to be up before the sun rises and you want to be out shooting until the sun sets and walking back to camp by headlamp. Because it's in that morning light and that evening light, the magic hours, that oftentimes we make some of the most compelling photographs. Now, one of the things that I find is late in the day and early in the day, it's very conducive to shooting silhouettes. Now, a silhouette, in layman's terms, is when you expose for the highlight and you allow your shadows to go black. So you get this very clean silhouette or profile of your subject. Black subject matter, highlights exposed correctly. Now, the photograph I'm talking about today was made while I was on assignment for Nike years ago in the High Sierra Mountains of California. We stayed out late, we shot until the sun set, and we were shooting on a relatively famous rock climb called Eichhorn Pinnacle in Tuolumne Meadows in Yosemite National Park, one of my favorite places on the planet. And one of my mentors and very close friends, Todd Snyder, was doing the final kind of cleaning of the equipment. He was standing on top of the pinnacle. The rest of the guys were down at the base. I was packing camera gear, packing climbing equipment because we still had a hike back to camp. And sure enough, I looked up and the sun started to do some pretty amazing stuff, this great play of light in the sky with the clouds. And I realized, wow, there's an amazing silhouette. It's a very simple process, actually, shooting a silhouette. Many of the fundamental rules of photography apply. At the baseline, we're still thinking about the light. Is it compelling light? In this case, absolutely, it's compelling. We have beautiful light in the sky. It's the composition. How am I going to build this rectangle? Where am I going to put this pinnacle or kind of monolithic spire in the photograph? And then it's the moment. I know that Todd is going to rappel down off of the spire. And while he's rappelling, he's swinging to check the rope to make sure that it's in a notch and that it's not experiencing any abrasion on top of the summit. I'm shooting at 500th or 1,000th of a second so that when Todd does bounce off the rock, I can really stop him in time. I can really freeze that action so that he's not blurring through the frame. And as you can imagine, I'm doing motor-driven bursts. So as Todd jumps, 3 frames. By the way, this was back in the day. I was shooting film, and so I was a little more conservative with my frames. And then when he hit the wall and rappelled a bit more, there was no separation between Todd and the background. If I were to shoot this photograph today, I would probably be using the Nikon D750. It's lightweight, easy for traveling into the mountains. And I would either be on the 24 to 70 millimeter lens, f2.8, or the 70 to 200 millimeter f4 lens. The 70 to 200 f4 is great for heading into the mountains when you're trying to move light and fast. Of course, today I would not be shooting on film. I would be shooting the SanDisk Extreme Pro CF or SD cards. When shooting silhouettes, it's a very simple look, black against a highlighted background. I'm really paying attention to line, shape, and form. I want to make certain that there's separation between the black lines, so Todd is not half of his body cut off against the wall. And I want to make sure that where I'm placing him against that background adds to the photograph. It's not competing with the background, but rather it's complementary. And I'm paying attention to that color. I'm paying attention to that time of day. Those subtle differences oftentimes add up to be the difference between a mediocre photograph, a good photograph, and maybe even a great photograph. And of course, we're always striving for great. We don't always get it, but that's what we're striving for. I'm Corey Rich. You're watching Adorama TV. Tons of free content just like this gets published on a regular basis. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy-to-use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.